welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. You're more than welcome to have a seat if you like. Once again, welcome and thank you, each and every one of you, on behalf of the family, for honoring Leon. Please, just order of business, if you'd be so kind, if you brought a cell phone, please make sure your cell phones were on silent or vibrate at this time. Just double, triple check that. We don't want to interrupt the beautiful service we have. We have some wonderful speakers. We're really honored. We have 3 waves of wonderful, very important speakers, just as you are very important in Leon's lives. We'll have 3 waves of VIP speakers here coming up on stage. Just so you know, we'll be guided by this service program, so some of you, as you came in, saw those red tables. Just to go over a little bit of what we'll be going through today, we'll have the opening remarks by his wife, Jessica. There's a eulogy, the opening song, both prayer and ministry, song, recording Leon's wisdoms, and visual tributes. But once again, we have many speakers, and we want to thank each and every one of you again for being here. Thank you for silencing cell phones, and we'll be honored to begin with Jessica. Thank you.
Sorry as I step on this stool so you can see me.
All right.
God, was that a difficult walk? Oh my goodness. I cannot believe that we're here. And it's hard to go through this. I'm sure that you guys are still struggling with what's happening. When I was brainstorming with Roseanne and we were planning the celebration of life, she said, let's look at what the meaning of celebration of life is. And it said that we usually hold them after people have had some time to grieve. And I thought that, he passed away in April and we're now in June, and maybe, there's been several weeks of grieving and it may not feel so fresh, but for some reason, it still feels very fresh. And I don't know if you guys are in the same spot as I am, but it's tough.
Yes.
Still, the intent for today's gathering is to work through our grief and focus on the blessings, focus on what we've gained from having this wonderful man in our life. And I'm still learning things about him, so I'm hoping that these 2 hours that you're going to spend here, you'll be learning new things about him. I'm pretty sure that you all know that he knew a lot of people. And as I sat there trying to make sure we brought at least one person from every group, he has 16 groups.
Well.
So I couldn't fit all 16 groups. I apologize. We have 10 speakers today that are going to get up and say something. And I know that a lot of you feel strong about expressing what Leon meant to you. And so we're also going to have some time where you can record a message. We're going to have a camera outdoors and doing the reception. You can come up to the camera and record a message. So besides letting you know why we put this together, and it was quite the feat because venues just kept falling apart, and it wasn't until May 22nd that we finally nailed the venue, and so we had about 10 days to prepare this huge event.
Yeah.
But it would not have happened without my team, so I just want to express some gratitude to those of you who assisted, and the main people that were part of that group. Roseanne and Marcia carried a huge load in helping make this happen, as well as Fred and Heaven and my team of 15 other people that all came together and spent hours and hours in making all this come true. And you'll see the labor of love that went into putting this program together, and I hope that you walk out of here feeling like you learned something new about Leon, feeling like you can identify things that can help turn that pain into gratefulness so that the grief can go away. Yeah, so I have some pictures that I wanted to show you. Can I have the remote? I know I forgot my remote. Let's see. So that was, thank you. And we couldn't bring his ashes on campus because they do not allow remains on campus. But I had to get an auditorium to make sure we were able to fit everybody. So this is the closest I can bring to you being able to see. Yeah. So every morning I light his candle and I have a little conversation with him and I tell him, today I'm lighting this candle hoping that, and whatever I'm hoping for that day, I just light it for the day. So, these are some of the last pictures that we took together. And the one at the top with the Hawaiian theme, he threw me my 50th birthday party. And it was a beautiful experience. So that was my last time celebrating a birthday with him. The one next to that is me and Christmas. We're together at Christmas, so that's the last time I'll celebrate Christmas with him. And over here is the last time we recorded a silly video. So there's 3 people that got a silly video from him. It was Jackie and Scott and Vincent, Anthony. These are 3 people that have the same birthday, March 23rd. So we recorded videos and sent them greetings. So I'm sure that you guys have received some kind of funny video or voicemail that he deposits for you that you can laugh at. So that's what it was kind of like. And then this last one was this magical wedding we went to, and he really liked the dress, which is why I'm wearing the dress for him. Okay. And now Lester is going to give you the eulogy.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Leon Bouchard III was a phenomenal man, a gentle giant who was a loving husband, father, grandfather, uncle, cousin, and friend. He had a personality that was so gigantic as Mount Everest. His laughter was as strong as a quake that would send vibrations and shock waves through your soul. His unwavering love for you would pierce your heart like an arrow. He seemingly knew everyone and had lifelong friends in multiple continents. If you were his friend, you were considered family. If Leon had just one dime, he would give you a nickel because he never wanted to be without. He remembered the special occasions in your life and made sure he knew all about you, your family, and your pets. Leon was kind, gentle, funny, and a big jokester, with the multitude of characters that he would unleash on you when you least expected it. Making you smile, feel loved and important was simply what he did. Everyone fortunate enough to have Leon in their life would agree. His joyful giving heart was the embodiment of God's grace. Leon was God's masterpiece. Leon's parents met in Louisiana and married in 1951. Of this union, Leon Jr. was blessed with 3 children, Vicky, Daniel, and Karen, whom he loved and raised as his own. Because of their love for each other and for family, they would soon welcome 3 more children, Lavetta, Leon III, and Michelle. Together, their love made a family of 8, complete. Leon Jr., affectionately known as PK, and his wife Gloria, blessed the world on May 26, 1956. Leon III clearly was a precious gift to us all. His older brother Danny had the same birthday, only 9 years prior. Leon was Gloria's second son, but PK's firstborn son. And thus, Leon was the third, and his son was the fourth. PK and Gloria moved from Louisiana to California in 1963, lived in their South Central Los Angeles home until they were laid to rest on October 23, 2000 and December 14, 2002, respectively. PK absolutely adored and catered to his beautiful and resilient wife, Gloria, for 49 years. They were the epitome of family love, always welcomed the entire Bouchard clan for Sunday family gatherings, to enjoy great food, music, card games, dominoes, laughter, and plenty of dancing. His parents were loved and respected by the entire family, including a plethora of friends, neighbors, and those who chose to attach themselves. Leon learned the meaning of family, love, and laughter from his parents and kept that family tradition going. Leon's early years taught him about being an industrious entrepreneur as he created newspaper throwing, car washing, and lawn mowing empire by the age of 12. He learned about race relations as during his time he was the sole person of color in Paternoster High School football team and as a deputy sheriff in Laramie, Wyoming. Leon was a star football player for the University of Wyoming. I apologize to you Cowboy fans out there. My apologies. He continued his love for the game as a coach for 25 years at Brentwood High School, where he was a mentor to players who continued to cherish him decades later. Leon loved cars and started his own business, LA Auto Consulting, in 1984. He helped hundreds of people buy cars. Customers became lifelong friends. Some felt like family. To the dismay of many, Leon retired in 2021. Leon was previously married to Ann Broussard and became pops to Kelly, Kevin, and Katie. They were his gifts, the angels he was blessed with, to love and protect for the rest of his life. Of this union, Leon was also blessed with a beautiful daughter, Jackie, who was loved and adored by him and all. A force of her own, Jackie was a little butterfly that would spread love and bless the family with her light. In 1998, Leon met the love of his life, Jessica Padilla. She captured Leon's heart completely. Like his blessed mother, Jessica is strong, enthusiastic, and resilient. His love for Jessica knew no bounds. Leon's goal was to love and honor Jessica as his father did so for his mother. Leon and Jessica wed in Hawaii on July 2nd, 2004. They welcomed a precious son, Leon IV. He was their light, joy in the sun and the stars of this family. Finally, Leroy, he was funny, brilliantly creative, a genius in his own right, and was enormously treasured by his parents. Together, Leon and Jessica created a family that truly honored the love that his parents shared. In the last few years of his life, Leon fought various ailments, including stage 4 cancer. He outlived doctors' prediction and was able to enjoy almost 2.5 more years of life after his diagnosis. His ultimately passing has left a void that only can be filled with acts of love and light in his memory. Leon is preceded in death by his parents, Brother Daniel Williams, his best friend Cliff Winfield, and beloved son Leon IV. They and all the uncles, aunts, and cousins welcomed him home on April 22nd. He leaves behind his loving wife Jessica, his sisters Victorine, Karen, Lavetta, and Michelle, his children Jackie, Kelly, Kevin, and Katie, his 5 grandkids, Circe, Kenan, Allie, Haley, and William Leon, as well as a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, and a multitude of friends. All will continue to shine his light as they forever treasure his memory. Family remembering the strength of his love and, of course, that unmistakable laugh.
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Berry, and it's my honor to be able to sing this afternoon. I met Leon and Jessica through my husband. He met him first, and he'll tell you about that when he comes up and talks. But I'm so glad he introduced me to him. And the biggest thing I remember is my face hurting because Leon is so funny. And so we've gone to dinner with them. We've eaten at their house. And I would just recommend, do not have food in your mouth when you're at their house talking with them, because Leon is going to say something that is going to crack you up. And so I was honored to sing at Leroy's Memorial. I was honored to sing at Leon's first service, and now here at this service, and it's just an honor to be here. And when someone as great as Leon and as wonderful as he was, and as many people that love him, when he is no longer here with us, we need help dealing with that in the trying days that come after that. And so I wanted to sing today that my help comes from the Lord. Oh, and I was waiting on the track. To the hills from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He said he would not suffer thy foot to be moved. The Lord which keepeth thee, he will not slumber nor sleep. Oh, the Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. by day, nor the moon by night. He shall preserve thy soul, even forevermore. Oh, my help, my help, my help. All of my help cometh from the Lord. The Lord. I will lift up mine eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord which made heaven and earth. He said he would not suffer thy foot to be moved. The Lord which keepeth thee, he will not slumber nor sleep. For the Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand, upon thy right hand. No, the sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. He shall preserve thy soul, even forevermore. Oh, my help, my all of my help cometh from the Oh, the Lord is my keeper. The Lord is my shade upon thy right hand, upon thy right hand. And the sun shall not smite thee, nor the moon by night. He shall preserve my soul. Oh, yes, he will. Even forevermore. My help comes from you, Lord Jesus. All of my help, it comes from the Lord. I can call on you, Jesus, for I know you will be there. All of my help, it comes from the Lord. I lift up mine eyes unto the hills, 'cause all of my help cometh from the Lord. I lift up mine eyes unto the hills, 'cause all of my help cometh from the Lord. My help comes from you,
afternoon, everyone. Okay, we can do better than that. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a little too quiet in here. If you knew Leon, you knew that he was boisterous and loud and gregarious. Can we give Leon a hand? I need some noise. That's a little bit more like it. And what about Jessica? She is the bravest, most courageous, awesome wife anyone could have. I love how she's so confident that she comes up and just brings up her stool and just sets it right there and says, I need to get my stool together. Amen. Listen, I met Leon at what we would call a greasy spoon. Anybody ever ate with Leon? Look at all of the hands. If you have eaten with Leon, you know he loved to eat, he loved restaurants, he loved to talk, and that's where I met him. I met him at this place called Babe's Kitchen. And before I became his pastor, I was actually his companion. And I discovered that the word companion is an interesting word. The etymological meaning of the word companion is based on two words. Com, which means with or together, and panion, which comes from the word panis, which means bread. So companion means someone who breaks bread with another. And I broke bread with Leon. Anybody here ever broke bread with Leon? But then you were also his companion. There is a word that I want to share with you today as I thought about the life of Leon. And I want to read a passage of scripture. And it's out of the book of Corinthians. And this is what it says in chapter 5. For we know that if our earthly house, this tent, is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. And then I read a little further down to verse number 8, and it said this: we are confident, yes, well pleased rather, to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. And then I read a little further down to verse 10, and this is what it said: for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that each one may receive the things done in the body, according to what he has done, whether good or bad. Would you turn to somebody you're on speaking terms with and say, Pastor Barry wants to speak about? I didn't hear anybody say a word. Okay, let me try it this way. In the African American tradition, if I say something to you, then you have to say something back to me. So let's try that again. Pastor Barry wants to speak about hope beyond the hearse. You guys are getting it. By the time we are done, you will have it. Amen. In spite of all of our quantum leaps in technology, in spite of all of our technological advancements, there's one thing that we have not been able to quite conquer, and that's this thing called death. How many of you know that we live in the most technologically advanced society this world has ever seen? Y'all looking at me? Do you not know that I have on a smart watch? And this watch has told me how many steps I've taken today. It even tells me what my blood pressure is and my heart rate. And in my pocket, I have a smartphone. And I have a smart car. That when I go out to my car, it will automatically open the doors and it will start the engine. And then my smart car will tell me, do you want to go home or do you want to go to Babe's restaurant? Because it's a smart car. And when I get home, I have a smart television, 65-inch television. And it automatically comes on and turns right on the channel that I want it to go on. I have a smart watch, a smartphone, a smart car, a smart television, and if you walk into my kitchen, I have a smart coffee maker that at a certain time every morning it turns on and makes my cup of coffee. And do you not know I even have a smart bed? My bed stays cool on my side and hot on Sister Berry's side, and it tells me how I slept all night long. Is there anybody in here who has some smart stuff in your home? Do you have a smart doorbell where you, even though you're sitting in here, you can look and see who's at your door? With all of this smart stuff, when it comes to this thing called death, and Leon and I talked about this, we concluded that there's a whole lot of speculation out there concerning death. Some people say, oh, well, this thing called death, it's just a temporary transition. I'm going to be in this holding pattern. I don't know about that. Then there's some people who say, well, it's just reincarnation over and over again. I'm just going to keep trying to get it right. I don't know about that either. Then there are some who say, you know what? Well, death is just the final conclusion. It's the ultimate conclusion. Anybody ever heard of B.B. King? How about Bobby Blue Bland? They had some blues songs that they used to sing, and one blues song that they sang it went like this. Hey, everybody, let's have some fun. You only live once, and when you're dead, you're done. So okay, I think I got some people in here. Let the good times roll. Well, you know, Leon said, you know, it's all right to have some fun, but I don't think when you're dead, you're done. And the reason he said that is because we bonded. I became his pastor when we were walking through the dark night of the soul when his son, Leroy, passed away. And so Leon said, I just cannot fathom that it's all over. I want to have some hope that there's more to this thing. And so, friends, I turn to this passage of Scripture. And this passage of Scripture simply says, and we know. Isn't that awesome? It didn't say, and we believe, and we conjecture, and we speculate. It said, and we know that if this earthly tent is taken down, we have another building, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. I notice three contrasting thoughts. The first contrasting thought is this: an earthly tent and an eternal house. Is there anybody in here who has ever gone camping? You ever gone camping and you set up a tent? Isn't it wonderful to go camping and set up a tent? Never shall forget, I went camping with my two little girls. They're grown now. But when we went camping, we drove all the way up to Lake Nacimiento, way up on the Central Coast. And all the way up there, they kept asking me, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I kept saying, no, 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 no. And then finally I said, we're here. And they're like, yay! Jumped out of the car. We set up the tents. They ran all around the lake having a wonderful time the first night. But then they realized there's something about a tent that they didn't like. You see, a tent is cold in the winter. It's hot in the summer. It's leaky when it rains. And it gives you a whole new meaning of the word sandwich when the wind is blowing. After about 2 days, my little girls were sitting on a stump outside the tent with tears running down their eyes. And I'm like, what's wrong? They said, Daddy, we're ready to go home. It dawned on me that it's okay to have fun in a tent. And Leon had a lot of fun in his tent. But as he was battling stage 4 cancer, as he was going through all of the things he had to go through, he said to his Heavenly Father, I'm ready to go home. And my brothers and sisters, there is something better than just this tent. Anybody here remember when you used to be able to jump out of bed and you didn't have to stretch and you didn't have to do anything? Who remembers those days? I remember when my feet didn't hurt. I remember when I didn't have the creaks and cracks and all that stuff. That's simply your tent wearing out. And Leon understood that these tents were going to wear out. But the good news is this. He has another building, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. See, at that point right there, that's when somebody should say, amen. Oh, you guys get me. I love that. I'm going to have to keep on coaching you, I see, though. But there's another contrast in this passage. It also says to be absent from the body is to be at home with the Lord. You see that contrast there? Isn't it awesome that even though he's not here, in a very real sense, he's just upstairs. Let me put it to you like this. My son, who's now 24, and although I miss those days when they were young, and that's why I use them as illustrations. When he was just a little kid, we would go to my father-in-law's house. And my father-in-law had this old rickety house. And the bedrooms were upstairs. And it was dark up there, and it was scary up there. And so I knew he was being slick, and he would just stay downstairs in the living room and just play and play and play until he fell asleep. And he was just afraid to go up those stairs. So the next morning, he would wake up in bed upstairs, and he'd say, Daddy, how did I get up here? And I would say, son, I love you so much that when you fell asleep down here, I picked you up and I carried you upstairs. When Leon fell asleep down here, God loved him so much that he picked him up and he carried him upstairs. And Leon is rejoicing right now. A new body in a new place. Hallelujah. Oh, y'all, I'm going to get happy just thinking about Leon. But there's another contrast in here. Not only is there a temporary tent and an eternal house, and not only is there to be absent from the body, it's to be at home with the Lord, but then there is present ambition and future reward. Look around at all of these folk that Leon touched. Leon understood that while he was down here, he had a job to do. No matter where he went, when he walked into the room, if somebody had a bad attitude, he made it his ambition to figure out how I can get on their good side. Have anybody ever noticed that about him? Didn't he make your person smile? He would see a waitress who was working hard, her feet were hurting, her ankles were swollen, and he would make sure that she had a great day. Present ambition, future reward. The good news, my friends, is that Leon has his reward. They are rejoicing in heaven the same way you and I are rejoicing over the memories that Leon had. Now, I began by telling you guys about my smartwatch, my smartphone, my smart car, my smart TV, my smart coffee maker, and my smart bed. Anybody remembers that? It was just a few minutes ago. But do you not know that Leon has something else? I was walking through Best Buy, and as I was walking through Best Buy, I noticed
that there was these appliances. And the salesperson came to me and said, you ought to pick up a smart refrigerator. And I said to myself, well, I have a smartphone, I have a smart watch, I have a smart car, I have a smart TV, I have a smart coffee maker, I have a smart bed. I might as well get a smart refrigerator. And the salesperson said that this refrigerator is so smart that it has internet service on the refrigerator. It has a screen on the refrigerator. And it'll order eggs for you when you run out. The refrigerator is so smart that it makes ice cubes in any shape you want. I said, you know what? Here's my credit card. Give me that refrigerator. I ordered the refrigerator. They delivered it to my house. The service person, he uncrated the refrigerator and he showed me all of the modern conveniences, all of the bells and whistles of this tremendous refrigerator. And then he said to me, when you're ready for this refrigerator to operate, all you have to do is plug it in. I went to Vons and I bought meat and fish and vegetables and fruit and juice and milk, and I filled up my refrigerator. And I closed the refrigerator door, stood back and looked at it. And then I noticed the plug lying on the floor. And I said to myself, he did say that when I was ready for this refrigerator to work, all I had to do was plug it in. But given the fact that it is a smart refrigerator, it ought to work by itself. So I left the plug on the floor. A few days later, I came back to my refrigerator, only to discover that everything in the refrigerator that was perishable had in fact perished. And I got on the phone, and I called the Geek Squad, and I laid it out with a few choice words, all Christian, of course, because I am a pastor. And when I stopped to catch my breath, the fellow said, sir, did you plug it in? He went on to explain to me that the refrigerator was made in such a way that it could not be everything it was made to be unless it was plugged in to the outlet where the power comes from. Leon understood that he was made in such a way that he could not be what the Creator made him to be unless he was plugged into him. And so all the conversations we had over breaking bread was simply, how do I get plugged in? And that's what Leon's life was all about. And my brothers and sisters, I want you to know that there is hope beyond the hearse, and Leon found that hope. God bless you. I would like to end with a prayer. Father God, we thank you for the life, for the love, for the legacy, and for the Lord of Leon Broussard III. We thank you for his wonderful wife, Jessica. We pray for her strength. We pray for her comfort. We pray, Lord, that you will continue to give her wonderful, loving people around her to encourage her as she keeps the legacy alive of both Leon and of Leroy. And Lord, until we see one another again, we give you glory and honor in Jesus' name. And everybody said amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen. And now we're going to have Eve, who's going to be singing, and now she would have loved to be here presently, like we're all blessed to be here presently, but she was called away to work, so we do have live streaming for those all over the globe who wanted to honor Leon, and she's one of them who couldn't be here, but she's with us in spirit, and we will hear her beautiful voice honoring Leon. For Eve. Thank you. It's one of her briefer songs. Obviously, there's a technical problem, and after I have a few comments, we will get back to the tape, and you'll get to hear her beautiful voice. Now I get to follow Pastor Barry.
All right.
If we could just get him out of his shell, I think he'd be a much more effective speaker. Following the good pastor, not only do I feel boring, I feel positively, hopelessly Caucasian. I don't know what to do about this. I'm working on it. Amen. Oh, it works. My name is Pat Sajak. Some of you may know I make my living in broadcasting and show business. Show business is known for its big egos, and my advice to anyone who has a large ego and would like to kind of tame it and cut it down to size, get a Leon in your life.
Well,
Let me explain. If you look at today's program, where it says I'm coming up, it doesn't describe me as Emmy-winning TV personality
no.
or big-time host of America's favorite and longest-running game show. It calls me Leon's employer. When I travel around the country and I walk down the street, I can hear people whispering. They'll say, "Hey, is that Pat Sajak? Is that the guy from Wheel?" But when I walk down the street in my neighborhood, the only whispers I hear, "Is that the guy who knows Leon?"
Love it.
People all over the country come up to me. They're excited. "I love the show. Can we sign this? Can I take a picture?" Here they just say hello to Leon.
Yeah.
It's a wonder I have an ego left at all. Just about 35 years ago, I became engaged to a beautiful young lady named Leslie. We were soon to be married back east, and then she was going to move to Los Angeles into a home I had bought just a couple of years earlier. I thought it would be nice to get her a new car to get her used to her new life out here, and I heard through a mutual friend about a fellow named Leon Broussard, who dealt in just that sort of thing, and from that day forward, Leon has been an important part of our lives. And what started with car brokering soon evolved into so much more as we began living our bi-coastal lifestyle. Eventually, Leon became an indispensable part of the Sajak family. He knew more about our lives and our needs and the complications of our day than we did. He referred to me as the boss.
All right.
The boss just called. I got to go see the boss. He was protective of us and our privacy, so much so that a lot of people who knew him didn't know the identity of his employer, other than that kind of mysterious name, the boss. Well, as we all know, no one was Leon's boss,
Well,
except maybe the diminutive woman sitting behind me. I wouldn't say Leon was a big guy, of course, and I wouldn't say he was afraid of her, but he had a very healthy respect for the woman's opinions, I will say that. And of course, a whole lot of love. What Leon was to us was our friend and our confidant and our advisor. We simply could not have enjoyed the life we did without his help, his skills, and his love. He dealt with dozens of people and companies on our behalf, and we were so proud to have him represent us. He got the best out of people not because they were impressed with my so-called celebrityhood, but because they respected him. In fact, they always seemed to be a little disappointed when I would show up for a meeting instead of Leon. Where's Leon? To know him was to love him. And when people found out about his death, even people with whom he met only a handful of times over the years, the grief was deep and real. We recently returned to our home in the valley for the first time since Leon's passing, and it was extremely difficult. We could see his touches, his works, his help everywhere we looked. Leslie, of course, is here with me today. Our two grown children were devastated by the news. They'd never known life without him. Our daughter is traveling on assignment for Wheel of Fortune, where she's working now. He would have been so proud of the fact that she passed her California bar just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And he was proud of our son becoming a doctor and getting married and having a daughter. Right now, our son is on duty back east where he finishes his residency in a matter of days. So like all of you, the Sajaks are going to have to get used to life without Leon. Not the logistics,
That'll be difficult, but it'll get done. I'm talking about the void that he left in all of us, the void no one can fill. It was the void in our hearts. And here's a small example of how difficult that will be. When Leslie and I felt strong enough to even begin to discuss what we were going to do about the logistics in our lives and the problems we had to deal with, I had the perfect solution. I reached for my phone instinctively. I said, I'll just call Leon and I've reached for my phone a lot of times over the last few weeks. He's a hard habit to break. There is a tradition at memorial services to tell some funny stories to help relieve the deep sadness we all feel. And it's a great tradition and a welcome tradition. I hope we hear a lot of that today. Suffice it to say that pretty much all Leon and I did when we were together was laugh. And I'll never forget that happy sound. Even when he was going through that incredibly difficult succession of health issues not that long ago, his good and generous and kind nature never deserted him. In fact, it was the key to his recovery. So instead of a funny story, I'd like to end by reading something written by a dear friend of Leon's by the name of Tracy Stoll. They met in Wyoming decades ago, and as often happens, they remained friends for decades. Now, Tracy watched videos of Leon speaking at some events, including his son's memorial service. He listened to podcasts. She listened to podcasts where he was interviewed, and she put this piece together based on his words. She calls it Leon's Wisdoms, and I thank her for allowing me the privilege of presenting his thoughts to you. By the way, these words were spoken by Leon from his heart, and therefore they're occasionally PG rated. Every day is not heaven. Don't quit because you hit a rough patch in the road. Pick up the phone and reach out to the resources you have, to friends, to loved ones. We all hit that wall. We all need encouragement when that happens. When I felt like crap in college football, and I cleaned that up a little bit. When I felt like crap in college football, another player would grab me and help keep me going. And when I felt like Hercules, I would grab someone who felt like crap and help keep them going. I believe the rest is G-rated. Family is the glue that keeps us together, no matter the size, shape, color, or religion. We are bound together because we need each other.
All right.
There is nothing stronger than love. If in anything you do, do it from a place of love, not from a place of anger or hate or selfishness. When having a conflict, take a deep breath. Stop beating a dead horse. Apologize and move on. Love your children and be proud of them. Love your fellow man. When you come across good people, keep them in your life. Keep them close to your heart. Do not waste God's blessing, because someday you may need to call them. Nothing comes easy. You pay a price for your achievements. Your accomplishments are not rewarding if you don't work toward them.
All right.
So be willing to pay a price.
Yeah.
Life is short. You're not promised mañana. Don't be cavalier with your time. Value the time you have. Every day wasted, you will never get back.
That's right.
And I close these words of wisdom from Leon with this. Cherish the good days and spend them with people you love. I'm fortunate, he said, that I always have had loved ones by my side. Thank you, Leon. Indeed you have, and you always will. And thank you all.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Kevin. So I have to share this with you guys. It wasn't scheduled, but as Pat was talking, it reminded me of his dedication to the boss, and he really always wanted to make sure that he did everything possible so that the boss would be happy when he came home. So,
Hey, babe, just wanted to tell you I'm on my way home. It's 12:05. I'm just getting on the 405 from the 101. I met with the fence guy and got things handled. So, boss is very happy. All right, talk to you later.
Beautiful.
he more honeydews for the boss than for me. Guys in the back, can we try playing that video again? Eve is a special friend of ours in the family, and she was here to sing for the celebration of life. And the song that she sent is a song that she sang when her daughter passed. And it's a beautiful song. It's called "I'm So Happy You Happened to Me." And the timing of the song is exactly 2 minutes and 22 seconds. And my Leon's number, whenever I think of my Leon's, whenever I'm trying to figure out whether I'm doing something right or not, I look for 222.
All right.
So it came up, and so I'm hoping we can play it. Can you guys back one slide and see if you can play the embedded video? Or pull it up on the line, online. Well, but I don't know how to go back. Let's play. Let's lay out the controls. And then I'm going to give you the remote, because from this point on, you're going to be in charge of that. Okay. It should be out now. It's whenever they want to do it. Yeah. Okay, no. Well, if they don't come in, we'll go. So what's going to happen is, so right now, we're here, right? Leon's Wiston's. We're going to go sit down. Everybody's going to be sitting to watch the video. After the video, we have to give people some time to cry. And then we'll call up the folks. And as they're coming up, then you can tell them about the video.
So thank you to the speakers who started. We'll have another 2 waves of speakers, so thank you, speakers. Feel free to have a seat. Thank you, each and every one of you. And we do have a video tribute as well, so I know we were trying to play Eve. We might find a way to play that later. But we also have a video tribute that we'd love for you all to see. And just to explain as well, after the video tribute, we'll call up the next round of speakers. Will be Jacqueline, Kevin, Patrick Brown, Peter Shaw, and Marcia. And they'll join us on stage after the video tribute. Also, too, ladies and gentlemen, there's a beautiful picture of Leon with his arms outstretched. How much he loved us all. But that's a great place if you ever have a time or wish to take a step out and you want to do a video. We have a videographer that'll be videotaping, and he can video you sending a tribute in front of Leon's outstretched arms just outside the auditorium to the left. But we'll be playing the video tribute in just a short moment. So we grew up in a very local family. I took out there a lot with my mom to tell stories and things and stuff. But I just genuinely love people. So I majored in communications, interpersonal communication. That worked out. And stuff. So yeah, that's what my mother said. She said, "Boy, you were going to school, you said you were already a master." So in 74, when I go there, he said, "You are the only recruit in the history of you being here that has got their best friend with my recruit." I said, "But, I got to have Dennis check it out." I said, "Because, Dennis don't check it out, I ain't coming." The first day of practice, I said to him, I said, "You and I are going to be best friends for life." He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "We're going to be best friends for life." He says, "No, we're not." He said, "I don't even like you."
It's your father. I'm calling to wish you happy Pride. think the amplifiers that you set out here, they do it much better than what it was when the shit hit the
Early on in all this, I tried to find a foundation of hope to continue to see life as this precious gift that we I try to think of what can I do to honor my son's life. I decided that I would try to live life to the fullest in the remaining years that I have left. Honor them, to live and do the things that God has been given me to see them older and have the opportunity to experience those things. And so, see me showing up at the house for the kids' parties and going to things and interacting with the family. It's my way of continuing to say that love simply helps me to remember the jobs. Harbor victory, got this way. You find me on somewhere over the
Hey, just in case you didn't know, this is a birthday metaphor, my bro. Calling to tell you how happy I am. You've had another birthday once again. I hope you're smiling. I hope you're gay. Not in that particular way. Happy birthday, my man, and Mark. Hope the mom take you right on the mark. Hey, brother.
You got trouble, and I got them too.
I said, you know I love you. I love you. He said, well, goddamn it, I can't back off. I know what you're keeping. He said, so you want to gain your potential. I said, yes, sir. Absolutely, Coach. Absolutely. If you never stop running, you won't fall behind. So you think, and you wonder in your heart if you still are who you are, who are you? It seems to it all falls apart.
A friendship will never die.
If you have a dream, don't realize as you grow older, the footprint that you leave across life and the impact and the impression that you make, the influence that you make. God, I'm blessed. I'm a blessed individual. Never take a single breath, take a single breath. Jacqueline, Kevin, Patrick Brown, Peter Shaw, and Marcia, if you can join us. And once again, just remember those video tributes sometime throughout the day. They would love to have you in front of the outstretched arms of Leon. And you could share a memory or story. The family would love those.
I sat staring at my computer blankly for what felt like hours, unsure of what to say, and more honestly, unwilling to admit that this moment was going to be real, that my father had indeed passed away. Suddenly, I became suffocatingly aware that the time would come for me to stand here in front of the hundreds, if not thousands of people who loved him, and try to say something profound about the amazing man that was my father. Indeed, I could go on for hours about his charm and wit, about his uncanny ability to tell stories and inappropriate jokes. How in a single phone call, he could make your day brighter, your ego smaller, and your knowledge about life more broad. Hey, baby, and that's all it would take for him to leave you with a full heart and a sore ear by the end of the conversation. Indeed, I could go on for hours about his passion and love for life, about the fact that he woke up every single day, tirelessly in service of those he loved, about how he worked to provide a better life, not for himself, but for those around him. My father was no mediocre man, nor did he allow you to settle for mediocrity either. He encouraged and coached and pushed you to a height you had no clue even existed within yourself. He was a shepherd, a guardian angel, and by no means perfect, but God was he annoyingly close. Indeed, I could stand here for hours and speak on the immense and indescribable love I have for my father and his for me. But I think we all already know what a special human being my father was, and how lucky we all were to have him and to know him. He loved each of us without ever looking to be loved in return, even though loving him was inevitable. Indeed, I could go on forever, but as I thought more about what I wanted to say here today, I thought there would be no better way to honor my father's legacy than by imparting one last word of Leon's wisdoms upon all of you during this really hard time. My assumption is that many of you, like me, are finding it hard to deal with the loss of my father. He was a pillar in a lot of our lives, a constant joy, friend, and confidant we now have to learn to live without. And whether it be this loss or another troubling tragedy you encounter down the road, or simply a hard time, I'd like you to be able to recall my father's words to help you through it. When I was 15, I was at the peak of my soccer career. I'm sure all of you have heard stories, but I'm going somewhere else with this. I'd just been invited to the U.S. Women's National Team camp. My club team was state champions. I was entering my sophomore year of high school, which meant college recruits were about to start scouting my games. Soccer in high school was a fall sport, so it must have been November when my high school team was in the quarterfinals of a CIF championship game, and I tore my ACL. For those non-athletes in the room, having a torn ACL in 2004 was looked at by most as a career-ending injury. By the time a person underwent surgery and went through rehab, you were looking at about a year's recovery time, which meant for me, no recruits were going to be able to watch me play, and the likelihood of getting a scholarship, let alone playing in college at a high-level university, was going to be out of the question completely. But my father made his calls, and Dr. Grogan had me in the operating room within days of my diagnosis. And when I woke up in the recovery room, there was my dad, holding my hand, and before I could even get a word out, he said, "Before we leave this recovery room, you have to pedal on that bike forward and backwards 10 times. My mouth dry, the room spinning. I think I mustered a light laugh trying to make his joke that was delivered way too soon seem funny. But he wasn't joking. There at the foot of my bed was a small pedal bike. He sat me up, he pointed at it, and he said, "Pedal. We're not leaving here until you do." And I looked at him and I said, "Dad, come on, this is crazy. I can't. I'm in the worst pain of my life. I just woke up 5 minutes ago from surgery." And he put his hand up and he said, "Jacqueline, you're going to pedal." So I scooted to the end of the bed. I lifted my leg onto the pedal. I mustered up every ounce of strength that I had, and I began to pedal. And just as my knee went to bend, I flung myself back onto the bed. I started screaming in pain, shouting, "I can't, Dad, I can't. I can't, there's just no way." And before I could scream another "I can't," he looked at me and he said, "Hush." And I hushed. And he said, "Right on the other side of this pain, there is a potential for there to be something amazing. Right on the other side of this moment that you're hating, there will be something amazing waiting for you. And all you have to do right now is get up and get through it. Cry if you want to cry, laugh, curse, do whatever it is that you need to do, Jacqueline. But if you get through this moment, I promise you, there will be something amazing waiting for you on the other side. He looked me dead in the eye and he said, you can do it, and you will do it, Jacqueline. And while he held my hand, I pedaled on that bike forwards and backwards 10 times. And I was back on the field in 6 months, and I got a full athletic scholarship to a Division I school. And I made lifelong friends, and I became an All-American, and my father was right. Just on the other side of that pain was something amazing, something I didn't even think possible. So when hard times come, as we mourn and grieve this loss, and any others that may come in the future, just know that right on the other side of that pain, there will be something amazing waiting. I want to thank everyone so much for coming to honor my father. There's no better example of the man that he was in the presence of all of you here today. I've never before felt a pain the way I have these last few weeks, but I know I can, and I know I will get through this. And there will be something amazing waiting for all of us, right on the side of this moment, especially made by my father. I love you, Daddy, and I'll be seeing you.
Love you, Jack. I'm Kevin Welsh. I'm Leon's son, and I too, Pat, am hopelessly Caucasian. But I was raised by a giant black man. So I got a little street cred on the streets of Lakewood and Long Beach. But Leon came into our life when we were, 4 years old? And from day one, he said, I am your father, you are my son, and you have 2 dads now. You got 2 dads. And my dad, where is he? Stand up. Kevin Welsh, where are you? I can't see you out there. There he is. He deserves to be recognized because these 2, I don't know if you know, are best buddies. And these 2 figured it out with a bunch of 3 crazy-ass kids with a ton of baggage, right? And they figured it out. And we are eternally grateful to my 2 dads because you 2 are the reason why we're up here, right? But I don't know if you know, like some people that come in, you get a stepdad, right? And there's like a grooming period or maybe a filling out period or what do we call you? No. From day one, I was his son and he was my dad. And there was no grooming period. If you know Pops, he just takes over. Pops took over. And he knew from even a very early age how special he was because everybody loved this guy. Everybody loved us. It took 4 times as long to go to a grocery store than it with Pops than it did with Mom, right? Because he would talk to everybody in that store. And I hated it growing up. I'm like, damn, I don't want to run errands with Pops. This is going to take forever, man. We're going to be late to practice. But he talked to everybody and he loved everybody. And I was deeply proud when he called me his son. He never called me anything else but his son. And so naturally, you want to emulate your dad, right? So I did everything Pops did. Pops would get out of the shower, and you know those size 56 skinnies? If you ever see it, I don't know if you know, man, they weren't even skinny, they were draws. They were like, right? And he was enormous. He's 6'4", 350 pounds, and he'd have his music, and I tried to do everything he does. This is the 80s, 90s, so New Jack Swing was in, you know, he was Belle Biv DeVoe, Crisscross, and then I was emulating his dance moves. I was gonna be it. I was gonna be the third member of Crisscross. It was Crisscross and Kev. But it wasn't until like 7th grade, like when we go to junior high, that I realized our family was a little different. Because if you guys remember, the 7th grade is the first time you get like a locker, right? And you're supposed to shower up after PE, you know, and you're supposed to change. Well, I didn't know what to put in the locker. I just grabbed whatever Pops grabbed and did whatever he did. And so he would stand after a shower, he'd stand in the size 56 drawers, and he'd put on the cool water, and he had this Jergens cocoa butter lotion, right? And he'd lather himself all up. Hey, Kev, you can't get ashy, baby, you can't get ashy, you know? So, I went to a predominantly white middle school, junior high. And I'm in the first week, I got my locker, I got my fake cool water, my fake Tommy Hilfiger shirt, and I had the giant bottle of Jergens cocoa butter. And I'm standing there in my size 24 drawers, and I think there was one black kid, and he was looking at me, and I am lathering up the cocoa butter all over. And he's like, hey, Kev, what you doing, man? And I was like, I got to lotion up. I can't get ashy, you know? And my man fell on the floor laughing. He fell on the floor laughing, and he was dying laughing, pointing his finger at me. He's like, I don't know if you know this, but you don't get ashy. And I came home, and I was like, God damn it, Pops, I'm trying to fit in. You didn't tell me, how come you gave me this giant cocoa butter? He's like, oh, listen, Jack. You don't have to listen to no bucket head, dude. Tell him you don't need to put on no lotion. Don't listen to these bucket head buddies, whatever, So it's pretty funny. I was learning that our family was a little different. That was when the first indication is about 7th grade. And as I grew up, I'll tell one other story. I grew older, I got out of college, and Pops was in the car business, right? And I finally got my first real job. My first real job, and of course the first thing you do is buy a car, because I was driving buckets before this. And so Pops lined it all up. He called his buddy, hey, this is my son. My son's coming in. He did all the paperwork. He got the deal on the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I was balling out. I had the Jeep Grand Cherokee. But the deal came, and he said, hey, Kev, we're going to Mexico. I can't be there on that day. But I lined it up. All you got to do is you got to go in there at 10 o'clock, and it's Steve. He's the fleet manager. And you just talk to Steve, and he'll line you up. I already knows you're coming. Everybody's lined up. All you got to do is sign your name, and you walk out of there with that Jeep. And I'm like, if you know Pops, you just follow directions, right? So 10 o'clock, I was there like 9:45. He said, walk past all them boys out in the front with their stupid shirts on, and you go right to the fleet manager. He's in the back office. He's waiting for you. Got it. So I go there about 9:45, knock on the door, and there's the man. I said, hey, my name's Kevin. I got an appointment at 10 o'clock. He's like, well, I got a guy coming in here right about 10 o'clock, so you just have to wait right here. Maybe one of the guys up at the front can help you out. All right, whatever. So about 10 o'clock, 10:15, 10:30, nothing is happening. And I can see through the glass of the window the man is doing nothing. He's not doing anything. He's shuffling papers around. He's not on the phone. He's doing nothing. About 10:30, I'm like, man, this is a mess. I thought Pops had this lined up, man. I thought Steve was his boy, And I went out and I called Pops and I said, hey, Pops, hey, Kev, you get the Jeep? No, nobody's giving me the time of day. Me and Steve is in there and he's doing nothing. And he said, what? Let me call him. So he calls up Steve, and I see him. I'm now looking through the glass window of his office, the fleet manager. And he calls him, and he's got the big speakerphone thing. He goes, hey, Leon, what's going on? And he's like, hey, Jack, what's going on? Hey, Steve, listen, my boy's been there for about 45 minutes, and he said, you haven't given him the time of day. He's like, no, Leon, no, I would never. He said, your son never showed up. He said he showed up, and I'm sitting there looking at him. And then he looks at me, he goes, Jack, his name's Kevin, he's been sitting there for 45 minutes. And he looks at me, and he looked for about 15 seconds. He was staring at me. And he gets back and he goes, hey, Leon, what up, Steve? Is your son white? Yeah, man, God, I'm so sorry. I'll take care of you. I walk out of the Jeep. And so I was like, Dad, Pops, maybe every now and then it would be good to clue them in that your son is white. But that was Leon. Leon is love, right? And he loved everybody. Every single person was family. Every single person in Leon's life was family. And I don't know if anybody had that phone call. I'd get off duty and he'd call me all the time. And be like, hey, Pops, what's going on? Hey, hold on a second. I got the other line. Hold on a second. And about 8 minutes later, he was like, that's your nephew. I was like, your nephew? Who? Keenan's calling you? Oh, that's pretty big for Keenan. He was like, no, that's Joaquin. I'm like, I have a nephew named Joaquin? He's like, yeah, it's Steve. It's Steve's brother who knows Pat Brown, and Pat Brown's gardener is connected to, and it went on for 18 more minutes on how they were connected, and then somehow that was my nephew. God. Yeah, and he coming over to the house, we're going to go dinner with Jesse, Yes. But I did think he had a form of genius, and maybe it's because he cared so much about people that he connected. This would be the light of his world. We would never leave this auditorium. He would talk to every single one and make sure that every single one knew how we were connected to Leon, right? And that is a form of genius, right? And I do think that we can carry that on. I think there's so much division in the world, there's so much things in the world, and he didn't care nothing about that. He didn't care. He didn't care what color you were, what your political affiliation was. He didn't care what you were from. Whatever you did for a living, he did not care. All he cared about was you, and he wanted to know about your family. And every time he called me, he'd ask, how's Harley? How's Allie? How's Haley? How's the kids? And he'd ask, what's up with Mike? I heard you promoted to captain. How come you haven't promoted to captain? He's like, what's up with Peter? What's up with your program? And he would always care about the people that I cared about. And he wanted to know everything about them. And it was amazing when any one of my people closest to me met him. He's like, man, I think I never met your Pops. And I was like, about me. And that was Leon, right? And I do think that even though I'm hopelessly Caucasian, that we can carry a little bit of that into our lives, and that I can care a little bit less about where you come from and what you do, but just love you as a person. And that's important to me because it's biblical, right? It says, Jesus said you have to love one another, right? And unconditionally. And even though Leon didn't know the Bible as well as Pastor Barry over here, that he lived his life that way. He lived his life in a walk of Jesus. Now, he was flawed. He was a flawed man, like I am, right? But he definitely loved more than anybody that I've ever met. He loved everybody. And I think for me, I'm taking away the fact that I can definitely be a better human and love people more and more. And I don't think he'd like to see us all crying, and I think that for me, the Broussard family was one of the most genuine, loving people on the planet on 41st and Normandy. They welcomed a bunch of 3 ratty kids and Jackie into our lives, and the Welshes, he walked into a room full of the most amazing people on the planet and lived their life. But I think we can put a little bit of that fun, a little bit of that life, and we have to carry that on. Because Sweetwater ain't here, Danny ain't here, and Pops ain't here, and Leroy ain't here. I think we should play a little music. We might have to stand up just to move a little bit. I don't know if we could do it. The AV's been struggling today, but it's all right. We appreciate you guys. I don't know if we can do it. Thumbs up, thumbs down. We'll move it on. All right, he's from Louisiana, and if you remember going to the Broussard family, I think you got to stand up a little bit. You got a little high legs. Danny will get on the mic and start singing, and I think we can turn it up just a little bit and get a little bit of fire love in there. Shake it out. I love you forever,
Okay, I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm going to try to draw off the courage from all the previous speakers, but I doubt that will happen. For the past couple of weeks, I tried to figure out how I can put into words how much Leon Bessard meant to all of us. Trying to put the 47 years that we shared together into about a 6 or 7 minute tribute is an impossible task. I could stand up here for hours and tell story after story, and if you've ever been around Leon and I'm sure you've heard the stories over and over and over again. Our friends would always indulge us and let us get on with our storytelling. And no matter how many times they've heard the story before, they would all still smile and laugh hysterically. It wasn't me bringing the smile and laughter to their faces, but it was my friend Leon. He knew how to tell a story. I'm sure we've all experienced his storytelling many times before. When Leon entered the room instantly got brighter. In the words of Cameron Radenberg, Coach Bouchard had a huge presence. I was so fortunate to have met Leon when we played football together at the University of Wyoming. Leon was already a player on the team, and when I arrived at campus, he welcomed me like a veteran member. I thought at first he was being so kind and cared because we were going to take care of another young man from California. But I soon come to realize that's who Leon was, a giant of a man with a giant heart. Now my glasses are getting foggy. This is going to be tough. After graduating from the University of Wyoming in 1979, I immediately headed back home to Southern California. I had a job offer from Brentwood School in Los Angeles, coaching football. The football program, to put it mildly, was struggling. Each year, the team would get a little better, and the Brentwood family was beginning to take pride in the program. And as fate would have it, I reunited with Coach Bouchard in 1985. We were a few games into the season, and I was still in search desperately for a defensive coordinator. I knew Leon would be the perfect person for the job. So I asked if he would help me out to finish out the rest of the school year. He said yes. But I know in his mind, he thought he was just going to help out for that one season. But I wasn't going to let that happen. As it turns out, for the next 25 years, we coached football together. Soon after that, in 1988, we not only won our first playoff game in school's history, but won the CIF championship. It was one of 4 CIF championships and 3 other CIF championship appearances and 13 league titles that Leon and I shared together. Coach Bouchard brought an unmatched passion to the program. He loved football. But you know what he loved more than football? His players. He loved each and every one of them, and they loved him in return. Honestly, I was jealous quite often of the relationship that Coach Bouchard had with the players. I would see them many times smiling and laughing and telling stories, but as the head coach, I felt I had to keep a little distance. In today's terms, Coach Bouchard would be considered old school. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He coached with such passion that was generated from a deep respect and unwavering love that he had for each and every one of us. The players knew how much Coach Bouchard loved them and in return would do anything for him. In 1997, on our way to the CIF championship game, which included a win versus Flint Ridge Prep, where we scored 2 late touchdowns in the fourth quarter to win the league championship. It included a playoff win 7-6 over number 4 seeded Linfield with another scoring drive with 2 minutes left with the winning touchdown, and to watch their 37-yard field goal attempt bang off the crossbar as time expired. And a victory against undefeated and number 1 seed Boron, 21-13, a Boron team whose defense had only allowed 27 points all year. During that incredible run, Coach Bouchard, in an inspirational post-game talk with tears flowing down his face, he clenched his fist and he said, "Brentwood finds a way to win." This phrase was presented to the coaches on a plaque at the end of the season's banquet. And to this day, the banquet is in display at Coach Bouchard's living room. Coach Bouchard made a huge impact on Brentwood School. At the end of each year, the senior class would vote on a faculty member to speak at the senior faculty dinner. To this day, Coach Bouchard is the only non-faculty member ever to speak at that event. His impact, go ahead, yeah. His impact was also felt at the CIF football meetings. 1 year after winning the CIF title because of our dominating defense, Coach Bouchard was honored with the CIF Coach of the Year award. I'm not certain if any other assistant coach has ever won that honor. Outside of football, over the years, we took many trips together, vacations, organized parties, and spent many times going out to breakfast, lunch, and dinners. After we were done coaching football together, Leon decided to buy a home where my wife and Vicky lived, Lakewood. But in typical Leon fashion, he moved into Lakewood Country Club. And Vicky and I, in what we affectionately called, still lived in Lakehood. We used to take trips at the end of every school year to Las Vegas. One particular year, with good friends Dan Wachter and Dan Basmajian, while in Vegas, we went to a Grateful Dead concert. Imagine that. Think about that. I remember Leon commenting as we walked into the stadium that we were all going to get high from the cloud of smoke that resonated in the air. I actually don't remember much about that night, but I know after the concert, we couldn't wait to find the nearest buffet. A group of us we'd often meet at the Village Cafe for breakfast. One morning when ordering, 2 of our Irish buddies, Paddy Gallagher and Terry McCarthy, both ordered the international omelet. Our good friend John Ritter, who lived in California his entire life, ordered the California omelet. When it came time for Leon to order, he ordered the ghetto omelet. That was Leon, never missing an opportunity to put a smile on his friends' faces. No matter what the situation was, he always had the right words to bring comfort and ease to your day. As I mentioned earlier, I could go on and on, but I know there are others that want the opportunity to speak. So in closing, we have a little video tribute to my good friend, my good buddy, Leon. Before we play the video, I just want to thank my wife, Vicky, my daughter, Erin, and especially Jamie Chow for their part in putting this video together. I know God don't make mistakes, but this sure feels like one. That won't change the facts, that won't bring you back. So I'll cry 'cause it's over, smile because we had you. Act a whole lot of living even though it ended all too soon. And in time I'll start healing, but even when I get that feeling, no matter where I go or what I do, I'll never not remember you. Thank God for all the memories and pictures on my phone. They don't fill me empty, but I feel less alone. And I know you're with the angels, right where you belong. 'Cause you were born to us, you left a legacy of love. So I'll cry 'cause it's over, smile because we had you. Act a whole lot of living even though it ended all too soon. And in time I'll start healing, but even when I get that feeling, no matter where I go or what I do, I'll never not remember you. You lighten up a whole room like that. You made us think, made us feel, made us all laugh. Always giving that shirt off your back. I miss you bad, I miss you bad. So I'll cry 'cause it's over, smile because we had you. Packed a whole lot of living even though it ended all too soon. I'll start healing, but even when I get that feeling, no matter where I go or what I do, I'll never not remember you. Oh, I promise you, never not remember.
Before I say anything, I can't believe I finally learned who the boss is. I remember during practices, I'd be crab walking across the field, and he'd be taking calls, and I couldn't imagine who he was talking to, but I can't believe it was you, so there you go. Hi, everyone. My name is Pete Shaw, and I was in Coach Bouchard's doghouse from 1997 to 2001. I can still remember watching my first Brentwood football game, years before I even went there. It was homecoming. They were winning by about 50 points. I think Scott Fagan had rushed for about 5 touchdowns by halftime. But more than anything, I remember watching the sidelines and just being in awe of Coach Bouchard's presence. He was a towering figure, larger than life. I remember sitting there and just watching him coach. He was laughing, maybe a little cursing. He was a man in his element, doing what he was born to do. He was so passionate about the game, you could see that he loved his players, and his players loved him back. I have known Coach for almost 30 years, and I have learned some of life's most important lessons from him. He taught me about dedication, not just for the game, but for being part of something bigger than myself. Brentwood football is a brotherhood, and that mentality came from the top. They gave us that gift. I spoke about watching my first game because years later, that same coaching staff was waiting for me when I showed up in 9th grade. Despite working out that entire summer, I still was not ready for the first day of Hell Week. Nobody is. Consistency, dedication, Coach sacrificed a lot to be there for us. Decades of driving back and forth to practice, missing weekends, no off-season. There was no quit in that man, and I thought the coaching dynasty would go on forever. That is until they got stuck coaching my brother Ian, which honestly would force anyone into an early retirement. But being under his leadership, that experience was special for hundreds of students who are all connected under that same coaching staff. I could be with anyone in this room, players I haven't even met, and talk to them for hours about Brentwood football. That is a legacy he left for us. And that same legacy carried on into our personal lives long after football was over. When I was a freshman, Alex Marino was an all-CIF linebacker, and I looked up to him, so I took that number. Then my brother Ian wore 42 also, and now my 6-year-old son is 42 as well. He also tells his mother he intends to play middle linebacker for Brentwood. We'll see how that plays out. There were other lessons, like tough love, and dear God, Coach Richard dished out plenty of that. I remember making one of my best plays during a 30-0 game. It was a screen pass, a slip between two linemen, and I blew it up in the backfield. I was so amped, I just started barking at everyone. And then it got quiet, and then I heard it. That primal Coach Richard scream that just made me curl into my shoulder pads like a turtle. To be fair, I think everyone was yelling at me, but Coach Richard's fury stood out amongst the rest. But when he spoke to you, especially like that, you listened and you learned. And you were better for it after. He expected more from us, and in time he expected the same. We held ourselves to a higher standard because that's what he expected of us. It's a lost art to yell the loudest, to be the cruelest, and still have everyone love you and play harder for it. And then there was the lesson of dealing with adversity, and that to me is where I learned the most from Coach. I remember the team my junior year, it was stacked. My senior year, not so much. But that year, Coach Richard set the tone for us. He taught us how to handle ourselves when things weren't going our way, how to keep battling. We barely made the playoffs, and we lost in the first round. But it was the proudest team I've ever played on. What an important life lesson to learn early on. And then when it was time to leave the Brentwood nest and take our first kick in the teeth in the real world, he was waiting for us when we came back with open arms. I haven't been to a single reunion, cocktail party, whatever, for anything, but I always love going back to visit with him and talk Brentwood football. Those coaches make you feel at home, like family. What they built for us is special. In the years after I graduated, I had the privilege of seeing him from time to time. I recently got to spend time with him in New York when he visited with his family. He just loved sharing stories and talking about old times, and for me, there was nothing better than that. He was always there for you like a proud parent. And this year I needed him more than ever. The day after Scott came and passed, I called Coach, and he helped me through one of the toughest days of my life. Scott was my best friend and had also played football at Brentwood. We sat there on the phone for 30 minutes, and I just cried my eyes out. I knew what it would mean to Scott's family to have all the Brentwood coaches at his memorial, which was just 4 days after his death. Coach made that happen. They were all in that room like they'd been there our whole lives. A few weeks later, I got a text, and it was from Coach. And the message reads, "Checking in on my player. How are you, Peter? Always here for you if you need anything." He was thinking of me, and I was so grateful to hear from him. We exchanged texts and made tentative plans to visit with my kids, but a month later, Coach had passed. Coach loved us, and we loved him. So when I heard they were doing a memorial, I volunteered to speak today because I wanted to show up for him the same way he had shown up for all of us. He was an amazing coach, mentor, and educator, and later in life, a dear and loyal friend, and we will miss him dearly.
Good afternoon, family and friends. Leon means lion, strong, powerful, and is steeped in heroism and bravery. When given the name Leon, he is believed to embody the essence of inner strength and resilience. His name signifies an individual who possesses the ability to overcome challenges and obstacles with unwavering determination. Spiritually, he was said to be a gifted battler from a young age. People given the name Leon are often seen as confident, charismatic, and assertive individuals. They possess a natural ability to take charge, inspire others, and are known for their bravery, determination, and unwavering spirit. This was truly my cousin, my brother, and my friend. Aside from both my dads, there has been no other man in my eyes that embodied the essence of what a man, a father, a husband, and a provider looks like. Leon was truly a direct descendant of the lineage of the Broussard men in our family. They loved strong, provided for their families without hesitation, protected without fear, and bragged endlessly about their children. Leon has clearly joined the strong men in our family and has made our grandfather Leon and his father Leon very proud for upholding the Broussard tradition of being a man's man. Because of our strong family bond and lineage, all the Broussard men here today that I know, all of you, embody all these characteristics and are stoic and funny. Laughter, jokes, family, food, and loyalty were gifts passed down. My cousin never wavered to help his family. When our elders and fathers began to pass on, Leon took on the role of patriarch of our family. He wasn't the oldest, but he took it on. His sole goal was to carry on the Broussard tradition of family gatherings, and his home was always open to his loved ones. He also took on the role of advisor. In my lifetime, I purchased 12 cars. And Leon orchestrated 11 of those purchases. I trusted him immensely, never questioned his advice to me. We both had a love for cars and driving. Anyone that knows me and knew Leon knew we were drivers, and I was his road dog for many car deliveries. I was so excited when he'd call and say, "Come on, baby, I got a job for you." I just knew I was going to get to drive a new car. And he said, "Nope, you're going to drive mine because I don't trust you." When it came to me buying my cars, the standing joke between Leon and I was, he'd ask, "Baby, tell me, what is the car you want? What do you want? What's your monthly payment? How much do you want to spend?" And I'd say, "I want a navy blue convertible Porsche with a white well-thin blue soft top and payments no more than $350 a month." And he'd say, "Okay, baby, let me see what I can do." Well, in 2014, Leon came close to making that dream happen. My car was totaled by a bigwig, one that he bought, and I was desperate for a replacement. He pulled whatever strings he had, he called in all his favors, and he surprised me with a beautiful navy blue convertible Saab. That was my Porsche, and I loved that car. Leon made it happen. I had $5,000 from the total of that car, nothing else to put down, and he knew I didn't want a car payment. And that car, I walked out. He surprised me. $5,000, it was my car. I don't know where he got it from, who gave it to him, but he said it was for his cousin. Leon had inner faith, and his relationship with God was personal. Toward the end, he knew God's presence was upon him, and he had blessed Leon's walk. Jessica, you captured Leon's heart completely, and you were his great love. You were his partner for life, and he adored you. His children, Kevin, Kelly, Katie, Jackie, and Leeboy, were his greatest gifts, and all of you kept his heart beating. He was such a proud papa and always bragged about all of you, your accomplishments, and if Leon had owned a newspaper, it would be full of only family stories and your successes. Thank you for sharing your husband, your father, your brother with all of us. I will miss my cousin forever. Thank you.
We're going to have a tribute song as we bring up the next round of speakers.
You touch my heart. You touch my heart. It was the moment my life began. When we embraced so tenderly, you said, I'm happy you happened to me. Many years later, it's all gone. And sometimes we disagree. Certain things were meant to be. And I'm just happy you happened to me. I'm just happy you happened. Happy you happened to me. Happy you happened to me.
And that was Eve. Thank you. Thank you so much. So now we have the speaker lineup of Roseanne Ryan, we have Stacy Winfield, Art Dilworth, Myron Moss, and Katie Trujillo. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Stacy Winfield Alexander. I am Sweetwater's, Clifton's niece. Leon, Uncle Leon, as I affectionately refer to him, I am bringing you greetings from Jersey. Uncle Leon will spend so much time in New Jersey, and and as you saw, Clifton in video, and many of you that realize who I was came and told me stories how, because my uncle would spend summers and all of that since Wyoming. They played together in football as they met at Wyoming University. As we all know, there's so many stories we can tell about Leon. We all know that he had a heart that was the size of the sky. We know that he loves unconditional. We know all of that about him. We know he had a great appetite. He also had a way of, as we know, of making you feel that you were the only person in the room, you were his best friend. But I knew he was my uncle's brother. They were best friends. I would sit with them and listen to their stories. And Leon was a jokester, we all know that. But did all of you know that he was a great dancer? He was light on his feet. I tell you, he can go down a Soul Train line like no other. Our last conversation, the conversation that we had when he found out that he was battling cancer, he called me up and he shared with me that he was sick, and I gasped. And he said, "Oh, hell, there's so much life in me, baby, and I got hell to do, so don't worry about it. I'm good. I ain't going nowhere." I said, "Lee, losing Clifton, and I just the thought," he says, "Hell with that, baby, I'm good. I'm just telling you so just when you see my hair fall out, you know what's going on." I said, good point. But he calls me up, and it was funny, and I didn't get to call, and I called him back, and I noticed that he called me multiple times, so I was like, oh no, what happened? And he said, "Oh, shit, nobody died. I just want to confirm your address. I'm in FedEx, and I just want to make sure I have your right address." I said, "Oh, you never called me back to back." He's, "Oh, I'm just mailing you some shit. Don't worry about it." I said, "Okay, Uncle Lee." And then I got the package, and I called him back, and I said, "Oh, Lee, Otis and I, my husband, he really likes it. We were deciding." He said, "Oh, that wasn't for you, that was for O." I said, "Oh, was there anything in there for me?" "Oh, shit, that's coming. Don't worry about it. I got you. But my uncle was one that loved Leon so unconditional. No one can tell them that they weren't brothers. And there's years that went by that people didn't know that they weren't. There were two light-skinned towers. And people used to see them and say, "Wow, there's two of you?" And they would have these conversations that went on for hours because they both could talk. But one thing for sure, two things for certain, is that Leon loved him, and I know my uncle prepared a place for him this time. He made the pilot on the floor for him. Thank you for listening to me today.
Well, obviously, I don't need a stool. I love you, sis. Leon and I could definitely look eye to eye. My name is Roseanne Rennie. You'll see in the program that Michelle Broussard was going to be here, and she was unable to come, so we're going to put her in our prayers and keep her well and healthy. And I think it's a little surreal, quite frankly, being here. I'm from Wyoming. Leon and I met over 40 years ago. I have known him, I've had him in my life longer than I've not, and he's touched every facet of my life, and I've had the privilege to watch him touch so many others. And I think I looked at the kids coming up and talking, and Jackie, that was a beautiful tribute, and Kevin, and to all of his friends, and of course the boss, of which he adored you, and your wife and family. And I just think, how did this work? I agree with Kevin in the fact that he was a genius, and in many, many ways, but we were invited into the Broussard family. When you met the Broussard family, you were family, and didn't matter. They included us all and kept us all. And then there was the Wells Lasher family that acted the same way. Once I see them out here and I look at them, and it's like, it's been so long since I've seen them, but it just feels like yesterday. And they still welcome you into your home, and their kids. And then there's the Padilla family. They're all family. The Broussards, the Padillas, the Lashers, the Welshes, they all know how to do family. And if we could all do family the way they did family, this world would be such a better place. And I want people to understand, thank you, I want us to fill the void, the emptiness, because it just feels like the whole universe is tipped. And I know that's for many of us. So if we could work to just take one person and stay connected to them the way that Leon stayed connected to all of us. I don't know how he did it. He was a genius. He could do it all. But if we could just take and be that connected, just be Leon connected to even one individual in our lives, just one, all the way from start to finish, we would make this world a better place. And we might be able to fill a little bit of that void that his passing has made. And one of the things that I have the privilege to do right now, and I still remember the first day I met him, Dennis Baker is not here with us today, but he had his daughter Sarah and granddaughter Emmy deliver a short letter that I have the privilege of reading. And Dennis and I have talked several times, Nancy, his lovely wife, since Leon's passing, because we're all kind of leaning on each other to get through it. So at this time, I'd like to read this letter from Dennis, his best friend, and we were all his best friend, but Dennis goes way, way back to childhood best friends. You saw the picture, and then Dennis is also the one that Leon had to take to Wyoming to make sure that school was going to be what he wanted to do and where he wanted to go. It starts out, for my lifelong friend. As the beneficiary of a 60-year friendship with Leon, I'm at a loss for where to begin. So let me start by sending my most heart-filled sympathy to Jessica and Jackie. Let me send thoughts and prayers to Katie, Kelly, and Kevin, Lavetta, Michelle, Karen, and Vicki. The loss and emptiness that I feel must fail in comparison to the loss of his family members are experiencing. Whether you knew Leon a day or 60 years, your loss is profound. Whether you were related to Leon, went to school with him, played high school football with him, were a teammate of his at Wyoming, or played for him at Brentwood, your loss is profound. Whether he was at your loved one's baptism, graduation, wedding, anniversary, hospital bedside, or funeral, your loss is profound. Whether he brokered a car deal for you, came to visit you in Oregon, vacationed with you in Hawaii, lived across the street from you, or was at your bedside in New Jersey, your loss is profound. You see, a devastating loss has been felt by all of us, yet we all have been enriched, having known him. I hope in short time, our sadness in his death will be replaced by the happy memories he's given us. May our hearts be filled with that infectious laugh we all came to know and love. Whether he was your husband, father, brother, teammate, coach, or friend, let us all rejoice in the celebration of Leon's life. Love you, Brother Bake. Now, when you saw these two together, their eyes just glistened and the smiles never stopped, and I've never laughed so hard in my life. So I would love to hear a lot of laughter and a lot of stories, and I sincerely thank everyone for coming. And you just have to know that there was an earthquake in Wyoming when the news broke that we had lost our Leon. And I want you all to realize how much he loved each and every one of you. So thank you for letting me share this time with you, all of our family. Thank you for including me all of my life. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Dill, and I was fortunate enough to be a Wyoming cowboy and hang out with Leon and Cliff and several others, and there are numerous Cowboys in the audience. So my perspective is he was a very special man, and he was one of great compassion, of great love. He was tenacious. He spoke like a man. And someone in the audience, because I sent out to the Cowboys, I said, our brother's gone home. What do you want to say about him? And somebody said, all the things that you said. But then there's one in the audience that said, he was a father. He used to grab me and kind of hem me up and say, check yourself. And, Leon was one to make the day brighter, but he was also one to make you accountable, to be better, to stand strong. Leon was tenacious on the line, many attributes, whether it as an individual or whether as the defense. I see the boss talking to his wife. I knew who the boss was, and he called me all the time. I'm coming from the boss's house. I'm going to the boss's house. So I heard about it all the time, about I'm going and I'm sitting in traffic and it's been a half an hour and stories went on here and there. But I want to talk about the Broussard family and what they did for me and my family. All of you who knew Mom and Pop, if they loved you, you were accepted and you were a part of the deal. And you never went anyplace else because they said, you're here, why ain't you called, boy? What's going on? The other thing about the Broussards they were barbecue masters. The sauce radiated. They came to learn me and they barbecued. Road games, they sometimes barbecued. And PK, Leon's father, used to comment, I don't cook for no damn losers. I know you better be winning that game. Something along those lines. And he made it clear. So on the way back from them games, Cowboys would be smiling, Cowboys would be laughing and chewing at the same time and wiping their mouth because it was a good day. I lived with Leon, I lived with Cliff. I lived with several teammates. And we won't even talk about Cliff, that's another story. But as far as Leon's concerned, Leon and I lived together when he was a sheriff. So you can imagine 6'4", walking through the door with this hat on and the badge, and we be in the house. This is the 70s. So we were studying, okay? And Leon would say, I see you boys got them books. And we say, yeah, we do. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay? I'm going to leave it at that. Leon was a brakeman for the Union Pacific Railroad. He was a bouncer, car salesman, broker extraordinaire. Leon had many jobs, but he loved people. And he loved all of you, and I'm just so happy to see all of you here, because when I look at the Cowboys and the family that I know it was love, and I know how he presented. And his kids, they were the greatest things in his life. He couldn't brag about them enough. Leon was an exceptional man and an exceptional friend. And everybody that I spoke with spoke highly of him. There was no negativity at all. And when I use the word honorable, it's amazing what I saw, what I was a part of. And his sister said to me, I know we have to go, but I felt as though I missed out. I live in Phoenix, my wife and I. He was at my house 3 weeks before his death, and I was due to see him 2 days before, right after he passed. He was going to be at our home. So I too felt that I lost something. Leon was a very remarkable man. He was very happy about his accomplishments, the fact that he was a cowboy, the fact that he was raised as a Broussard, the fact that he generated so much love, which was given to him by his family. He also felt as though he was a motivator of young people, and he loved that. He loved that young people, as you heard the young man says, we became friends years later. He only wanted the best. When I think about Leon and what he provided for all of us, and it's unique, and you all got your story about Leon and your Leon-isms and whatever, but to me, he was my boy, he was my road dog. We did so much together. We saw each other. It got to be a joke. Jessica would say, "Oh, Derek coming again?" I said, "As long as you live in California, I'll be there. As long as there's a beach, you'll see me." And Leon said, "We'll come whenever. It's not an issue." So the reality is the love that Leon put out there for all of you, for his kids, for every one of us, it was remarkable. And every cowboy that I know, including sisters and extended sister and brother, Leon got a scholarship to Wyoming. It wasn't long before Lavetta and Michelle came to Wyoming. They were able to don some boots and put on some blue jeans, and we used to sometimes ask, why is that little patch imprint in the back of their jeans? And somebody said, it must be Skoll or maybe Copenhagen. If you know what I'm talking about. And then after that, Leon's older brother and Leon's sister came to town and lived in Laramie for a while. And we were like, what? But the reality is Leon was loved. Leon loved Wyoming. Leon loved people. And I'm going to miss my boy, and I know you too. So I'm going to say, hey, have a good day.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Myron Moss. I'm a neighbor of Leon's and Jessica's. Before I had told Jessica I wanted to say a few remarks of Leon, she asked if I had any photographs of us, the group of guys that we get together with, and I told her no. Jessica, the real reason is there's maybe one or two members in the witness protection and we couldn't have a camera out there. So you know who you are over there. I'm honored to be able to speak at this remembrance for Leon. But before I go on, Jessica and Broussard family, everyone that Leon touched, just realize that I will continue to be praying for you as the days go forward. God bless you. Again, I'm a neighbor of Leon's. I have a home around the corner from Leon, and my home sits in such a way that I get to greet most of my neighbors as they walk their dogs or go for evening walks. And I would be outside doing my landscaping. This is the first instant I met Leon. I was out doing my landscaping. Leon was semi-retired at the time, so he was going for his daily walks all the time. And as he would go by, he would say hello, and my first impression of him was, that's a big man. Honest to me, the first time I saw him, he looked as big as that poster outside. I thought that was him in person. But he just, even though he would just walk by initially and say, hello, how are you? He had a presence about him that you can feel. And I come to find that out later as he continued to walk and I would be outside maintaining my landscape. It didn't take him long to strike up a conversation. It didn't take me long to find out that Leon liked to talk. And it didn't take me long to find out that my lawn maintenance was starting to be twice as long as it used to be before because Leon would want to stop and talk. When I was able to join him walking, this introduced me to Leon the storyteller. I would hear stories of his childhood, of his growing up. Come to find out, as he lived down in LA, he actually lived a block from my cousins, and we never happened to have crossed paths. I would hear stories of his high school and college days, the various positions, the various careers he had post-football. I would hear of the evolution of his family, how he started out as being single all the way up to his present family. And I would hear story upon story upon story of friends he met along the way, of his coaching mentorships. He was a people person at heart, and there was never a boring moment with him. But without a doubt, my favorite stories involved his mother, his father, the troubles he would get into, and the justice that they would hand out to Leon. And that tickled me because it pretty much paralleled my life, the same things that I was getting in trouble for. In our neighborhood, we have an informal gathering of men. We would occasionally meet, and we would talk about the events that would be happening around our neighborhood. We would check and see how the different members of the families were doing, and we would try to solve all the world problems as we conversed throughout the day. This all started during COVID, when Leon, myself, and Fred would sit inside my garage, socially distanced, of course. We would just have a drink, and we would talk and relate to one another. And again, because my house was situated such that people tend to walk by, we would speak to all the neighbors as they walked by, and we start drawing in some of the other men into this group. And it slowly grew beyond the size of my garage, so we went to the backyard, where we can socially distance, be in fresh air, and do our own, in our own way, try to kill the COVID bug by drinking moderate amount of whiskey, rum, or tequila. So we did our part. You all know Leon is a lover of people. His love is pure and sincere. He was never looking for anything in return. That was really one of the reasons I really looked up to this man. Even when he was going through his health scare, speaking with him, he would still tell, I would talk to him, and on occasion, there would be a phone call. I would interrupt a phone call of his. He would always still try to reach out to the people that meant so much to him, even though he was still battling his own issues. If God had placed a more social person on this earth, I would really be hard-pressed to meet him or her. Leon was just a social butterfly. I remember distinctly the day that I heard the news of Leon's passing. I was speaking with our neighbor Fred, and we were trying to put words to the feelings that we were going through, and I believe that we came across, it felt like the wind was just knocked out of us. It's not back yet completely. It's not back yet completely, but we're getting there. The neighborhood was and still is in a state of disbelief of Leon not being around. He seemed to know everyone in the neighborhood and was on speaking terms with everyone in the neighborhood. Now is a time that we need to find our new normal. We don't know what that'll look like. We don't know when that'll happen. But I'm sure that normal will be filled with many memories and stories of Leon. When I first heard of Leon's nickname, Big Time, the first thing I thought of was, that's the most appropriate or descriptive nickname I've ever heard. He was big in stature, big in character, big in presence. He was just big. As I take my seat, there's a couple of other descriptive things I'd like to say about Leon. Again, he was a social butterfly. He was a people person. He was definitely larger than life. But to me, the most important is Leon, he was a dear, dear friend to me, and I will miss him. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Leon's daughter, Katie, or Bino, as he would call me, the youngest of the original three, and I hate to be the one to break it to you, Jackie, but I was his first baby. Leon came into my life when I was barely 2 years old, and I don't know if it was me or my sister Kelly, but we couldn't pronounce our L's, so we called him Wee. And it is forever stuck, and I know I'm a grown-ass woman calling a grown-ass man Wee-wee for 40 years. But Leon came into my life when I was 2 years old, but really his relationship with my mom Ann and my dad Kevin, or D1, was long before that. In fact, Leon has known and been a part of the Lasher family, my mom's family, since he was about 13 or 14 years old. He was a star high school football player at Paternoster, and my mom was the cheerleader. And through that, he became best friends with my mom's sister, my Aunt Carrie. So he was about 13 years old, and he would always come over to Sunday night dinners at the Lasher's house, and on every holiday that was hosted by my grandparents, Bob and Bobby Lasher. Even when he went off to college at Wyoming, when he came home from the holidays, he made it a point to stop by the Lasher's house. Now, this is where things get a little weird when it comes to our family, but Leon was at my mom and dad's wedding. And if that isn't a little weird, how about this one? He was actually a chaperone on one of their very first dates. People never really understood our family dynamics and just how deeply rooted they were. Blended families are not easy. So many people would comment that we did things right, and I don't necessarily know if that's true or not. There were a lot of good times, a lot of heartaches, a lot of great times. But we had something that other blended families didn't. We had a Leon. Leon connected us all through everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and every little thing in between. He was there. In fact, my first memory in life is of Leon. How cool is that? My first memory in life is of Leon. Not a picture that was shown to me, or an old 8mm video, or a VHS recording. My own first memory is of Leon. He was walking through the front door of our house on Alabama Street, and I was running towards him. And that's it. That's all I remember. I have no idea what happened next. I can only imagine that I either ran and wrapped myself around his gigantic calf as he dragged me across the floor. Or maybe I ran and I jumped into his arms and he threw me up into the air like he would do so many times. Or maybe, just maybe, I ran and he grabbed me with one arm, one hand, and raised me all the way up to the ceiling. I don't know what happened next, but I do know that when I saw him, he made me feel safe and protected and so deeply loved. I Googled the meaning of unconditional love, and I'd like to share it with you. Unconditional love, simply put, is love without strings attached. It's love you offer freely. You don't base it on what someone does for you in return. You simply love them and want nothing more than their happiness. Does that remind you of someone? It wasn't until after Leon passed that I stopped and I started to reflect on those early years. I recently asked my dad about those days and how it was for him, and he gave me a real and vulnerable response. He stated that, of course, it was hard with the divorce, and we all had our own egos and pride to deal with, and it wasn't easy sharing your children with another man. But this wasn't just some other ordinary man. It was Leon, and there is no one better than Leon. And I'd like to also thank my dad, D1. Thank you for seeing what an amazing man Leon was and for giving us that space and sharing the title of dad with him. Your friendship and your love for each other over these years is truly remarkable, and you're right. There was no one better than Leon. He connected us all and was the true example of unconditional love. When my mom and Leon divorced, we were all still so young, and I was so uncertain of what the future held for us. I remember that day so vividly, sitting on the couch, and just as my first memory was of him walking through the front door, I was so scared that my last memory of him would be of him leaving. And I've also too played in a few soccer games in my life, but I only remember probably a handful of them. Probably remember more of Jackie's than I do of my own. But the day after they sat us on the couch and told us they were getting a divorce, I had a soccer game. And I remember telling my mom I didn't want to go. I was kicking and screaming. It was horrible. No energy. It just sucked. But all of a sudden I heard, "Come on, Bino!" And I saw my we on the sidelines. And I knew at that moment, no matter what, we were going to be okay. And that was Leon. He showed up, he called, he followed through. He said if he was going to do something, you bet your ass he was going to do it. And one of my favorite things was watching intently the look on people's faces when he introduced me as his daughter. Or when I would introduce him as my father. Never stepdaughter, never stepson, never stepdad. If we ever used that term, that was only for it to make sense for you. But he was our pops, and he was my we. One of the times I went on a car deal with him, way out past Palm Springs, he was delivering a call and asked me to follow him and drive back together. I got to see firsthand the magic of his relationship building with people from all sorts of backgrounds. It didn't matter what the color of your skin was, it didn't matter about your politics or religion. He saw you and connected with you. So I'm following behind him, and we get there, and he says, this was only going to be a quick 5 to 10 minute thing. Now, when did anyone have a 5 to 10 minute conversation with Leon? Yeah, exactly. This was an all-day excursion. But on the way back, we stopped to get something and eat. And naturally, he knows of a diner off the path, off in the middle of nowhere, way out past Palm Springs. And we stop at this diner, and it looks a little dicey. And all 10 people turned around and stared. And he just says, "Hey, baby, table for 2 for me and my daughter." I loved watching people's faces. We walked to a booth, and sure enough, we hear, Leon Broussard, is that you? And of course, he knew someone in the middle of nowhere. And there's that game, right, that 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon, where you pick a celebrity, and you have 7 ways or less to connect them to Kevin Bacon. I think it's more like 3 degrees to Leon Broussard. He knew someone everywhere we went. But they started to catch up, and an hour later, we sat down to eat. And Leon went on to tell me that he hasn't seen him in over 20 years. Yet Leon knew everything about this man. His name, his wife's name, his children's name, grandparents, even the mailman. And I was so amazed by that gift he had by connecting with people and remembering every detail about you. But that was Pops. He not only imprinted on your life, whether or not you wanted it, but he showed up and followed through after that encounter, and man, did he show you love. When talking to Dan and Claudia said how Leon met her sisters for the first time at her wedding to Big Human. However long after that, she was talking with her sister in Connecticut, who was recently sick at the time. And her sister told her how Leon sent her flowers after only meeting her that one time, but that was Pops. John Julian on his Facebook post said, God called home a man whom he'd place on loan with us. He went on to say how words are inadequate to capture the scope of his personality, the kind of person you had to experience firsthand before you could even start to understand what larger than life meant. Yeah, that was Pops. Sally Ann Schumer said in an article, he collected people like others might collect baseball cards or sneakers. There's not a soul who knew him who didn't genuinely love him. Gail Julian on Facebook said, and I quote, Leon changed the way I saw people. When my dad passed, it was Leon who stepped into the shoes my dad left behind. Rhea Hosany on Facebook said, Leon met my parents when they first immigrated to the U.S. and has since then treated us literally like family for over 30 years. He was full of life, and I feel privileged that he called me his niece. There are so many posts or comments about this truly amazing human being, and all with the similar message of family and love and that larger-than-life personality. And that was his gift, his deep connection to us all. One of my best friends is married and into her own blended family now, and after Leon passed, was one of the many people that asked or stated, wow, you guys really did things right and made it work, or how did you do that? Or for her specifically, how can I get to that place with my own blended family? And my answer to her was simple. One of you needs to step up and be a Leon. Leave your ego and pride at the door. Be a man of your word by doing what you say you are going to do, and be the example of unconditional love. Now, today is a hard day for me and my family, my siblings. Not only are we paying tribute to this unbelievable man, but on this day, June 2nd, 5 years ago, our mom passed away. And I share this to put it in perspective for everyone, the amount of loss our family has endured in these past 5 years. And I'm tired. I'm really tired, and I'm extremely sad. We've lost our mom, our brother Leroy, our grandma Bobby Lasher, our uncle Danny, our uncle Brian Welsh, our aunt Tara Welsh, our Teal Hill on my husband's side, and so many others of our extended family, and now Leon, all in a 5-year span. And the loss of Leon hits differently. So many people reached out and expressed their condolences, and I always replied with, I'm sorry too. I'm sorry for your loss. Leon meant a lot for a lot of people and kept us all connected. And I'm fully aware that this is life. Having a huge family, having a huge extended family, this is inevitable. But I am extremely sad and tired. I'm tired of seeing you in this manner. Sad for the great losses we've had in such a short period of time, and selfishly sad that my son, William Leon, who turned a whole 9 months today, will never have his own memories with the man he is named after and the family we've lost before him. A couple of you have been truly vulnerable and open and honest in the conversations we've had since Leon's passing, and stated that you're scared. You're scared that we won't be connected anymore because Leon is gone, and because Leon was the one that connected us all. And many of you here might be feeling the same way, and to you I say, my pops raised us all better than that, right? Today and every day after, I am going to be a Leon, and I challenge you to be a Leon too. Now, I'd like you to do something for me. If you could all take out your phones, and if we go to the next slide, do me a favor. This is me. Look at that. Here's my number and my email address. Give you a moment. Take a picture. Come on, Pat. Come on, boss. Oh, okay, good. All right. Thank you. I don't want to hear from you at the next memorial service. I want to stay connected and hear all your stories of this great man so that I can share them with my children. For the Wyoming and Colorado crew, I live in Colorado, just outside of Denver. Let's meet at a diner, share some stories, go to a Cowboys game in honor of Pops. I hear there's something in the works for the September 28th game. I might just have to be there, but reach out, let's connect. For those that had your weekly breakfast or lunch with Pops, whenever I'm in town, let's get breakfast or lunch and share some stories. Friday night dinners at Fred and Eliza's, I'm there. And even when I'm not in town, call me up, FaceTime me, let's connect. To Jessica, there are 4 children named Kelly, Kevin, Katie, and Jackie that still need you just as much as you need them, and 5 beautiful grandchildren, with hopefully more coming, who love their abuelita dearly. Leon was a part of my life well before I was born, and I know our family dynamics didn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but where is the logic when your kids called him Papa Lee, or Papa Bear, or Uncle Leon? The truth is, the connections he made are deeply rooted and imprinted in all of us, and his gift that he left behind was this larger-than-life blended family that he's been creating his entire life. And that doesn't end here. My name is Katie Trujillo, or Bino, as my we would call me, and I am Leon Broussard's daughter. And I look forward to building and carrying those connections with all of you. And yes, I can talk for hours too.
Thank you to our speakers. Thank you, speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to ask and invite each and every one of you, there's food and drink to celebrate. Keep sharing these amazing stories of Leon. We're going to have some songs, but we're going to start with the first few rows as we exit out the auditorium to go outside. We know Leon was a social butterfly, and there's a special wing and tribute in his honor, but we're going to start by exiting reverse. We're going to exit the front rows first, so we're going to peel out little by little. The front rows will be going back outside the auditorium, and the bagpipers will be playing as well as another tribute song. Thank you.